This might seem a little bit odd for me to bring this up because I started giving psychic readings to people at the age of 24 when I first opened my office. And it's not something I used to offer like private one on one calls for that, and they would sell out. I started at like 111. I would go up to 444, 555. Like I've had people pay me thousands of dollars to get on a 1 hour phone call and do a reading for them. And I stopped offering those outside of my private mentorship for several reasons. But I want to talk about psychic readings today because there are a lot of people that kind of are addicted to them, number one. And I also find that there are people that are receiving quote unquote information from psychics that don't feel good for them, but then they're taking it on as truth. It is really important that if you are getting a reading from somebody, you should be filtering the information through your own intuition. So I want to give you an example. Years ago, I had a reading with this woman, and I knew at the time of that reading that I needed to leave my marriage. 100% I knew it. Just I knew it like I knew it. And she started talking to me and she was like, I don't actually feel that you're supposed to leave. And as she was telling me why I wasn't supposed to leave, I started to feel heavy and stressed out. And I knew that she was actually just projecting her own trauma into the session with me. And so it's so important that if you're getting a reading, you are number one, super selective of who you get that reading with. And number two, it is just my personal belief that we should not be giving anybody information that number one they don't ultimately ask for. And like specifically what I mean by that is maybe like if you sense that somebody's husband or spouse is having an affair and they don't ask you about it, I would not go there. I have had women that have asked me that question. Fine, we'll dive into it. But I've also had people come to me, it's like psychic trauma. And they're like, this psychic told me I was never going to make any money, that I wouldn't be successful because I literally had someone come to me one time and they were like, this psychic told me that I wasn't supposed to be successful in this lifetime. And I was like, what in the actual fuck? First of all, timelines change like, they can literally change every day. They could change every single freaking day. And so when somebody tells you that you aren't here to do something that you actually want to experience yourself, that should be a red flag. If any psychic, any medium, any astrologer is telling you that you can't do something that you want to do, like, please question that. Please hang up the phone, disconnect, cut the energetic cords. It is so frustrating to me when people have this fear based on information somebody told them, and then they actually integrate that as a truth and a belief. And listen, I believe in the placebo effect. So for me, it's like, I guess I'll even speak to just, this is kind of left field, but the recent episode that I did about my boob job where all of these women were going and getting their breast implants removed, and they were talking about breast implant illness and how serious this is. And like that was never something that scared me. It's not something that I'm afraid of. I love my boobs so much that it's not even the frequency of love that I have for my body and my boobs. Like it's just not even a possibility in the field for me. I don't create it to be one. And so I feel the same way that a lot of times if people are receiving information from an authority figure, whether that is somebody that's given lots of psychic readings, and so this person's like, well, obviously they know what they're doing, they're a trusted source. If that person gives you information, but it doesn't feel good for you, it doesn't align with you, you need to trust yourself and trust that above what somebody is telling you. So, first and foremost, I want to remind you that timelines constantly change. And so, if you're on a path right now where let's say you're not making the money that you want to make, but you want to be successful, you want to create financial freedom, and somebody told you that just, you know what, Sarah, that just isn't in the cards for you this lifetime. Like, you're here to be humbled. You get to say, fuck that, not my reality, not today. And you get to be the creator of your life. You are in the driver's seat. I just said this to one of my clients today. It's like, no matter what, you're in the driver's seat. But the question is, are you steering, or have you like let go of the wheel and you're just allowing life to bitch slap you any which way? You have to understand. Let's take the C in bitch. The C in bitch is consciously create. If you're not waking up every day with the vision that you are giving life to, you will you will literally be giving your power away to people and circumstances that are outside of you. And then you're going to go to a psychic and you're going to be like, will I be successful? And I say this in my book. One of the most common questions that I have received as a psychic, aside from like, is he cheating on me? Um, there's two that are super, super well, I get another one too that's really popular, and it's like, is he gonna propose? you know? But I would get a lot of women that would be like, "What is my purpose? Will I be successful?" Those are two very, very common questions that I have received throughout my lifetime in giving readings for people. And really what they're ultimately asking is, do you believe that I can have an incredible life? Like there's some version of that is underneath what they're asking me. So there's what they're asking, but then there's wow. We're not cutting this out. There's what they're directly asking me. But underneath that is something else. And so when somebody's asking that question, will I be successful? What they're really asking is, do you believe that I can live a life that I actually love? Do you believe that I can change my circumstances? Do you believe that I'm worthy? Do you believe that it can happen for me just like it happens to everyone else? And that's one of the biggest blocks in a person's way, the belief that it can happen for her or it can happen for him. Like success can happen for her, but not for me. Clearly there's something that he or she has that I don't, and then people will excuse themselves and justify why they don't have the life that they want to have. And so I just want to remind you today that there really is no person outside of you that can tell you what your life will or will not look like. Now, I have, like I said, I've given countless readings. I couldn't even tell you how many readings I've given over the years. But no matter what, and even when I've shared things with people and they're like, no, that's not going to happen. And then they come back 6 months later, 12 months later, and they're like, guess what? and I'm like, the thing happened. They're like, yes. It's like true. And I could see something in a person's field that has the potential to unfold. But if they make a decision to turn left instead of going down the path they're on and the frequency wildly changes, like that's going to change the trajectory of their life. And you could sit here and say, well, that's common sense, but most people don't think that way. And so I do think that, receiving support, receiving mentorship, receiving guidance is super powerful. Obviously, I'm in the business of that, right? People pay me hundreds of thousands of dollars literally to be in mentorship. But at the end of the day, I could give somebody a roadmap to success, and whether or not they follow it is entirely up to them. And so I just want for people to stop giving their power away to psychics, and especially like astrology. I really am not big into astrology. I do believe that certain traits, like if, I'm a Virgo, and I believe that there are certain traits that you would read about a Virgo, they do apply to me. But you know what? So do a lot of other traits from a lot of other signs. So I don't believe we're one thing. And when it comes to psychics giving you information, you should be questioning through your own filter what's true for you and what's not. And even if they say something like a good reading will never leave you in fear, it will leave you empowered. And so if you're leaving a reading and you're feeling worse, you're feeling fearful, you're feeling uncertain, that's a red flag. It should not feel that way. And don't even get me started on psychics that tell you when you're going to die. That is one of the biggest fucking red flags. And I just, there needs to be like, we need to stop doing that. So, anyway, for all of you that have had a reading and it left you in fear, it left you feeling worse about yourself, please know that does not have to be the truth for you, and it's not the truth. It's only the truth if you decide it is. You are in control of your life. You are in the driver's seat. Reclaim your power. If you don't like something that is occurring in your life, you literally have access to create the kind of change that gives you everything you desire to experience in the 3D world. But no matter what, it comes down to you. This podcast was brought to you by my international best-selling book, Rich Bitch Money Goals, Becoming the Energetic Match to Wealth, which is available at over 39,000 retailers across the nation. So make sure you pick up your copy today. You can find it in places like Amazon, Target, Indigo, Barnes & Nobles, Walmart, and more.